Welcome to another episode of the All Tense Podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh West, as always, here with Clay Harris. And Clay, today we've got our third and final installment on our series about the accountability chart. And today's episode is all about the different types of people issues that we may encounter once we have first structured the organization and then placed people into those seats. Clay, what do you see with clients, and what are the common people issues that we run into as implementers?
First, I just want to comment. The way you said welcome on today's podcast really brought out the Georgia in you. It was like for y'all who don't know, Josh is originally from Georgia.
Yeah.
And, that's the southern United States. So when you said welcome...
Did it get out? Every once in a while it leaks out, Clay.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. So that's not a normal people issue, but I just wanted to call it out. I appreciate it as a fellow Southerner. When we start building the accountability chart with our clients, their first instinct is we just got to get work done. Yeah, GWC it. Yeah, they get it. They wanted it. Yep, 100%.
Yep. Put a head in the seat. We got stuff to do. Yep.
And so when we come back around to it and really kind of think about it, and in the EOS world, we're doing that 30, 60 days after we first set the accountability chart. We're kind of checking in pretty intently on the accountability chart to make sure it's right. We talk about these two issues that come up a lot, right? The first one is right person, wrong seat. And the second one is wrong person, right seat. And I have some pretty, those are, once you start talking about them, people just kind of get it. But there's also the other sides of those things that you were speaking about, Josh, before we started recording, which is right person in the right seat. You don't want to forget about them. You got to make sure they get the love that they need. And you got the wrong person, wrong seats, which are like, hot flaming piles of, we need to fix this. Right. And those probably get too much attention. And so, where do you want to start on those four? Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the easy one, Clay. Wrong person, wrong seat. So we've worked to define our core values. We know who we are, what we're about, how we're hiring, firing, reviewing, rewarding, and recognizing within the organization. We're very clear on those values. Then we've got an accountability chart. We've defined a seat with a function, those 5 major roles that are within it. And right now, when we've built it and then we've got who we've got, and when we put them in that seat, and then everybody says, yeah, that person's got a bad attitude, toxic, they're not the right person for our organization, and not very good at their job. This is number one with a bullet. You need to do something about this as soon as possible, right? It is likely not correctable, not salvageable. If you haven't done anything about it to this point, it's probably been very obvious to people within the organization that something needs to be done, and this is overdue. It goes to the issues list, and I'm looking at the team like, so are you going to do something about that 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, this is like, I don't even know what we're talking about here. If you have this existing on your team, you've just got to get rid of it. Just got to kind of eliminate the problem that if you have a wrong person in the wrong seat, the biggest thing that you're doing is making the rest of the company lose faith in you. And you just got to fix it. Like, no choice, anything that isn't action tomorrow is an excuse. And really simple. The problem isn't that person and that they're not doing a good job. The problem that you're going to have is that their inability to do a good job and their inability to support your culture and core values is undermining everyone else on the team's ability to do that as well. So, period. Pause the podcast. Go take care of that. Come back and keep listening.
That's your nugget, folks. Absolutely. And, the good news is that's the easy one, right?
That's the easy one, but also obvious. It's also where like there's almost always drama and time.
Yeah.
And like, you just know, if you're listening and you have that problem, you just know who it is. Just go take care of it, because any more time that you spend on it is wasted, because there's other great people in your organization that would rather have the pats on the back, the recognition, the like extra like, supportive shove or whatever that, I don't know. It's 2025. I don't know what's appropriate or not, but like, you know,
Encouraging words.
encouraging words. Thank you. Jeez.
There. We can't get in trouble for that one. So, okay. So, that's an easy one to deal with, right? Wrong person,
100%.
wrong seat, right? Now, these next three, not as simple and clear cut, and they each have their own challenges that I have found with clients. So, first, Clay, let's talk about we've got the wrong person in the right seat. So, someone who doesn't share our values but nails the job, right?
The easy example here is like the sales guy who's a complete jerk to everybody in the office, but always hits quota. Maybe he always leads the sales team in deals closed. And it's like a really hard one, right? For especially entrepreneurs to be like, man, that person's like super productive, but nobody likes them. But they're undermining the culture. And if you believe, like we do, like I do, that like values and focus and all those things are the underpinning of building a great company. If you got anybody kind of like eating away at the foundation, everything else is kind of built on sticks, and you got to figure out how to do it better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I use this example too. Like you say, Clay, this happens often. It's the salesperson who is absolutely crushing quota, and that ego comes along with that. And to compound how difficult this is that toxic attitude may have some layers between that and the leadership team, right? So what the finance person sees is, oh, we've got revenue coming in, right? So this is great, right? And others on the leadership team, and maybe even the owners of the business, they don't have to experience that lack of core values and that attitude and that toxicity day in and day out, right? So they're not feeling that pain the same way that other people on the sales team or the people inside of the marketing department that have to work more closely with this person day in and day out. And that's with nothing to say that if there's other people on the team that are reporting into this person. And so for them, day in and day out, they're like, man, this person's a jerk and I'm just tired of dealing with it. And so then the people who are feeling the pain don't have any authority to do anything about it. And the people who do have the authority to do something about it aren't feeling that pain as acutely. And so that one is, unfortunately, I think more common than we'd like for it to be.
Agreed. I think that's a really kind of insightful point that you might not see it and you have to hear it. But the other thing is, like, just imagine this world where, like, as a leader, I'm walking around talking about our core values, like how great the company is. And so whether or not that person is kind of doing something like really kind of active to undermine you, or just being anti to your core values, when the company hears from you, like, this is what we're built on, this is what we're about, these are our values, and then they see us tolerating behavior that is anti the core values, then what is that saying? What you kind of allow is kind of what you end up endorsing, right? Like what you're saying, that's not the right words, but like there's something.
It's what I've heard it several different ways. What you tolerate, you endorse.
Yeah, right.
Or you get what you tolerate, right?
You're kind of like you're kind of saying one thing, but people are seeing something else, and like that's the fissure, right? Like when that gap exists, the only thing it can do is get bigger. It doesn't shrink all by itself. You actually have to like force it to be mended. And the only way you do that in this situation is, like, as painful as it might be, the short-term pain is worth it because you got to get rid of people who are wrong people for your organization, even if they're in the right seat.
And, I get it when you're looking at the numbers and you see the performance, but that's not all there is to it. And you still got to, be the right type of person and share those core values. Clay, let's move on to the next one. And this one gets emotional because we've got the right person in the wrong seat. They're a cultural fit. They may even be someone who is beloved throughout the organization, right? They're a great fit. Everybody loves them. just not great at their job. What do we do?
I'm not going to get emotional about this one. I think there's actually like only two pretty clear cut answers. If you actually love them and care about them, either one, there's another seat in the organization that they will GWC, that they will get, won't have the capacity to do, to be able to do a good job on it, and you put them in that seat. And then you get a right person in the right seat, and that's great. If you don't have a seat for them and you love them and care for them, then the only thing to do is to let them go find a place at another organization where they can also be a right person and GWC a seat. And this is something that like took me a long time as a leader to kind of like believe. Even I could say it for a long time, but only believe it actually when I did it myself. And so it's like this thing where it's like, oh man, I know I'm a good person. I'm not doing a very good job at this job. I need to go do something else. And even as like hard as that transition was, like once you find the seat with this organization or without it, oh, this is what thriving looks like. And that's what we want for people. Like generally as leaders, we want them to go out and do their best and be happy. And that's what you can create for people if they're the right person in the wrong seat.
Yeah, I agree with you, Clay. And it's easier for us as implementers standing on the outside of that fire to be able to help our leaders navigate that. But certainly, when they work with them day to day, they've been with the company 5-10 years, like they've met these people's family. They know the names of their kids. They've been at the company picnic.
Yes.
It's tough, man.
No, that is actually just more reason why you owe it to them.
I get it. I'm just challenging you on behalf of our listeners about the position that they're in emotionally.
I've done this. Listen, having run a company for 25 years, I have done this, and it is and like I'm not saying that it should be easy. I'm not saying that you shouldn't wake up in the morning where you have to have this conversation and not feel bad. If you're kind of going through it like a robot, something else is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But just because it's hard doesn't mean it's wrong. In fact,
I'll agree.
Because it's hard probably means it's the right thing. So 100% heard. Definitely the hardest of these conversations to have. And also the most meaningful.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Let me kick my soapbox away. Hold on.
You're all right. We'll move on to the fourth one. And I see this as the blind spot because we've got the right person in the right seat. So someone would say, well, Josh, how's that a people issue? And for me, I think it's important for leaders when you've got the right person in the right seat, you likely have some other issues that you're working through, right? You may have some other wrong person and or wrong seat issues within a department. And so you're spending all your time on those issues. And so you're taking this other person for granted. And if you're not spending any time with them, then what's happening is at some point that person's going to go home and say, well, it's all those other people that have the same title as me and get paid the same as me that are taking up all of my manager's time because they're the problem children. They have the issues. I don't. So, if I don't need any attention, then why am I not in my manager's place? Am I still growing here? Right? What's going on? Am I being developed? Or am I just being taken advantage of and taken for granted? And so, how do you talk with your leaders about what happens and what do we do with people who are the right people in the right seat?
Well, this is actually the goal of EOS, is to get to 100% right people in right seats, right? And so you have to, we talked about this in a previous episode, the accountability chart isn't a video game where when you get it right, it's done. It's the pursuit always of getting it right. And so for me, right people in right seats means that they're matched for the core values of the company. They GWC their seat. It also kind of implies this thing, because of those things being true, they're invested in the future. They are, they share and believe in the VTO. And so the practices around keeping those people engaged and happy, obviously on the edges, are going to differ from company to company. But if you're doing the right things, they're participating, and they're doing rocks that are meaningful both for them and to help the company propel forward. They understand how the work that they do contributes, and they can link it from their day-to-day actions to the bigger picture, the 1 year, 3 year, 10 year, right? They have a team that is aligned around what good looks like because they have a scorecard and they're running an L10. They have an issues list. You have to make sure that all these things aren't getting sabotaged by the other 3 people issues that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get rid of those people issues, all that other stuff just starts to work. And people hum and click. And EOS is built to have these rhythms for people to make all that stuff gel, not just once, but over and over and over again. And so the number one thing that I think you can do for those right people in the right seats is solve the other issues, and then make sure that they are participating in all those different rhythms that I just mentioned that help bring them, help connect them from what they do every day to everything else that's going on in the company. What do you think?
You know, my ending nugget for everyone on this particular episode is be honest with yourself, right? Try to step outside of any of the emotions and really evaluate on a granular level. Are these the right people? Do they indeed share and exhibit our core values? And as you look at the function and the roles as defined, do they truly GWC that seat? And when you run the people analyzer, you know, maybe it's not just you as a leader on the outside, but their manager also performing that. Let's get some multiple angles on this and really understand that. And, you know, getting that clarity of people being at or above the bar and making sure that we've got those right people. And as you say, we're trying to get to 100% there. It really has to come from that honesty and very clear eyes on that evaluation. What do you got, Clay?
I think that's it. I think that's the right way to end it right there, Josh. That's it. Accountability chart, episode 3 of 3. You don't even need us anymore. Just listen to these podcasts and you got like, man, maybe we shouldn't release these. I don't know.
We're here to help. Lots of other magic happens inside of that session room. Take them home, Clay.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. This is the All Tens podcast. My name is Clay. He's Josh. We're EOS implementers, and we'd love to help you if you ever have questions about EOS or about life. Sweet tea, maybe. We're both from the South, even though Josh lives in Arizona. Do they have sweet tea in Arizona, Josh?
I don't. I think it's one of those things where it's like they'll bring you the tea, and then you got to sweet. It's messed up. It's only in the South where they do it right, baby.
Doesn't count. Anyway, we'd love your comments, feedback, ideas. Anytime, comment, listen, share, all the things that you do with podcasts. Other people say it better than I do. But thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. Good job, Joshy. See you later.
Bye, Clay.